Mike, when you look at the first week of football, what did you take away from it? Is it we didn't have a lot of passing yards and things of that nature like we normally would see. Is that something we've got to look forward to, or that was just a one-timer?
I think it's just a one-time thing. It's one slice of an 18-piece pie. And, the big caveat, and this applies if you've won or if you've lost. You don't know how bad the team is you've beaten, and you don't know how good the team is that's beaten you. Commanders fans thinking, oh, here we go again. Hey, there's a chance the Buccaneers are a powerhouse this year. There's a chance they're going to do that to everybody. They had a final 8 teams last year that had a chance to force overtime against the Lions. They failed to call timeouts when the Lions were engaging in massive clock mismanagement, and they kept all their guys. And Baker Mayfield's going to be even better than he was last year. So that week 1 game, you flush it because that may be one of the toughest teams we see all year long. So you just have to get past it and take advantage of the fact that one of the worst teams in the league is coming to town this week with the New York Giants, and you get to 1-1. But one of the things, and Brian, I'm sure you can speak to this, Chris Sims always tells me about the mood in the locker room. 0-1, get a little tighter, 0-2, get a little tighter, 0-3, oh no, and you get to 0-4 and you start feeling like it's over. So it's important to get that first win, and
there you go.
I can't imagine the Commanders not getting it this weekend.
Man, I tend to agree with you, but the Giants just always seem to play them so tough. Specific to Jaden Daniels, Mike, a lot has been made of him getting 16 carries in the first game. The majority of those were him scrambling on pass plays. What'd you think of Jaden? What do you think of the run total?
Well, it looked like there were some design runs in garbage time that I think are a huge mistake, because the simple and basic reality for any quarterback that chooses to run, you got to minimize the number of times the guy gets hit. And every time you get hit, every additional blow you take to your body is the one that could injure you, whether it's, Jimmy Garoppolo on the sideline at Arrowhead Stadium in 2018, week 3, he drops his shoulder to deliver a blow and tears his ACL. RG3, when he left Washington, went to Cleveland, dropped his shoulder week 1 against the Eagles and ended up being injured and missing a lot of time. We saw what happened to him in 2012, and I think it was originally the hit from Haloti Ngata of the Ravens that tore the ACL, and he tried to play with it. You just have to minimize contact. And why in the world are you letting this guy run when that game is clearly out of hand? That's what stunned me, because this is the most important asset in your organization right now. And yes, you're going to use him and you're going to let him run, but you don't want to be stupid about it, and you don't want to run him in situations where it's not going to contribute to a victory.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. The stuff I've been talking about for a while now that I've seen them install during August is kind of the interior QB runs that Philly uses a lot. That kind of stuff has me nervous. I do think, though, looking at this Giants game this week, the Bucs blitz like crazy. The Giants don't, and I think that will almost lower the run total anyway. You mentioned that the Bucs just might be really good. I feel like we've all kind of ignored that possibility. Mm-hmm. They brought everybody back from a team that won a playoff game and had a feisty performance in the divisional round. How bad do you think Washington's defense was last week? Or is it that Tampa's got some horses?
It may just be Tampa's got some horses. I mean, they didn't just win a playoff game. They embarrassed the Eagles. I know the Eagles were in a free fall then, but that was kind of like, hey, this is their get-right opportunity. People thought they were going to go to Tampa Bay and win that game, and it was never even a contest. So I think the Buccaneers are very stout on both sides of the ball. And one last thing about Daniels that I meant to mention earlier, he really does look the part. And I think that's all you're really looking for in the early stages of a guy's career. When we were at the scouting combine and we were interviewing SEC defensive players, and we would try to ask every one of them, who's the toughest opponent you ever faced? They would not hesitate. Jaden Daniels. I mean, he's there and then he's gone. And we saw that play out with some of those scrambles on Sunday. He's there, and when he turns it on, he just disappears. And that separation, that acceleration that he possessed at the college level has translated directly to the NFL level. And I think that's the most encouraging thing. It's all the more reason to keep him healthy.
For sure. Let's go elsewhere in the NFL. Who surprised you the most in week 1?
Well, boy, that's a good question. And people usually say that's a good question when they're trying to buy time and think of a good answer. I mean, I was surprised the Cowboys won as easily as they did in Cleveland. And I think Cleveland is really in kind of a weird season where They've got the roster to be good, but they need their quarterback to finally make a return on the huge investment the Browns made, both in terms of cash and in terms of 3 first-round picks and 3 other draft picks. You think about how good the Browns could be if they had just kept all those picks and kept all that money. And, is the confidence really there for Deshaun Watson? Where are the Browns really going? I was surprised the Cowboys, with the CeeDee Lamb holdout, the Dak Prescott distraction, the question of whether or not they really made their team any better than it was last year. For them to go in and win as easily as they did was a surprise, but maybe as it plays out, it won't be a surprise. Maybe it was just a sign of things to come for the Browns, who possibly will struggle a year after they made it to the playoffs.
Did you expect the Jets to perform as they did?
Well, I didn't expect the defense to get manhandled, the front seven to get pushed all over the place. And, last year, the defense is what kept them from completely and totally having a 2-15 meltdown. So it was easy to feel good about the Jets going into 2024 because, all right, defense, strength of the team, Aaron Rodgers healthy, offense doesn't have to be much better, and all of a sudden this team's a contender. The offense never really got a chance to get going. They had one drive early where they scored a touchdown. It's like, hey, you know what? Maybe they can win this game. Then they fell behind. They had the drive where Aaron Rodgers used the old Green Bay guy jumps offside, free play touchdown. But it just never felt like they had a chance to win. And kudos to the 49ers for everything they've gone through with the Brandon Ayuk hold in, the Trent Williams hold out, the Christian McCaffrey calf and Achilles injury. And I think they knew damn well he wasn't going to play on Monday night. And they got Jordan Mason ready, and nobody knew otherwise until it was time for him to go. They did a pretty good job of coming out and looking like the team that made it to the Super Bowl last year.
They really did. And how about, we almost aren't talking about them because they played the Thursday night. But how about the Chiefs being able to add the speed of Xavier Worthy, dude? And just what that team looks like again.
Oh, and it's Hollywood Brown when he's healthy enough to return. Rashee Rice last year, one of the reasons they stood behind him despite the off-field issues from this past year, he came in and mastered the offense faster than Tyreek Hill did. He had it figured out last year, had nearly 1,000 receiving yards, took it to another level in the postseason. So between Rice and Worthy and Hollywood Brown, all of a sudden, this is a Chiefs team. With Tyreek Hill, it was a lot of Patrick Mahomes holding the ball maybe longer than he should have, running around, waiting for Tyreek Hill to finally get open and throwing that big ball down the field. I think we're going to see from the Chiefs this year a lot of just situations like around midfield, play action, throw it deep.
There you go.
A little pitch back to the quarterback, flea flicker, throw it deep. There's going to be that spot between the 40 and the other 45 where I think we're going to see a lot of deep shots because they have a lot of guys that can run down the field. And then when you start covering those guys, you got Travis Kelce and Juju Smith-Schuster underneath who are going to be either wide open or fighting at best single coverage.
Yeah.
As your backup, Pacheco goes crazy.
Right.
And Pacheco's the hardest runner in the NFL. When you get out of his way, and it's amazing, on any other team that didn't have Patrick Mahomes, this is a guy that could carry the ball 25 to 30 times a game and just decimate you. And that's their running attack. I know anything can happen, but man, it's been the first time in 20 years there's a team in position to win 3 in a row. They're keenly aware of it, and they've got the talent on both sides of the ball to pull it off.
Wow.
Hey, last one, Mike. You think the Eagles obviously had that big win? You think Sirianni can hold that thing together? Whatever the hell happened last season, it's a new year.
I really have questions about it, and I don't know what stock to put in the Friday night game because the field was so bad. It was an embarrassment. And, the NFL was lucky because that Friday night game, you didn't have the usual menu of sports talk the next day, the TV shows the next day. It was college football and then bright, shiny objects in 13 games on Sunday. That horrible field didn't get the attention it should have because really it was gone as fast as it arrived. So that might have been a fluke. They could have lost that game. I still don't know exactly why things went so wrong last year in Philly, but I just wonder at some level, are there relationships that are broken beyond repair? Do the players listen to the coach? Do the players listen to the quarterback? Is the quarterback still the guy he was before he got paid? And even if they're good early in the season, it's going to become pronounced when we get to November and December because that's when they fell apart last year.